Welcome to Kandal Culture Talks, Oleksandr. Can you please introduce yourself?
Hi Olga, I'm Oleksandr Poborskyy and I work here for Kandal in London office, part of the building services team, lucky enough to be involved on many large multidisciplinary projects here in Kandal.
So Oleksandr, can you please tell us a little bit about your culture, your cultural background?
As Ukrainian, who moved here about 20 years ago or so, I'd like to talk about what actually we represent. We are very open to everyone, welcoming. We are friendly as well. We are a bit family orientated. We well organized and we like to plan things in advance. We like cuisine. We like to meet people. We perceive our business through the relationship. We like to establish personal connections prior to running the business, and that's something that stays with me throughout the time.
So Oleksandr, you moved to the UK from Ukraine, so obviously there was a cultural adaptation for you at some point, right? Do you remember any differences that you noticed or any differences that you had to adapt to?
One of the first things that I needed to adjust myself was how to be flexible about my agenda. Ukrainians like to be very organized. They like to make those milestones steps by steps until you hit the final objectives. In my first engagements, where it was not necessarily like this, people like to ask questions, like a bit more flexibility around your agenda. Make yourself a little bit, we not necessarily follow the steps. So I had to learn and adjust myself and be more flexible.
And you felt like you had to be a little bit more open-minded to different suggestions and changes on the way.
You certainly would have to be more adaptive, a bit more flexible for what others say, and a little bit less rigid in terms of we need to hit the program or your milestones. So you got a bit more flexibility to add.
So what experience do you have now, working with different cultures and work environment? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
As a project manager working on quite a few large multidiscipline projects, we work closely with many other offices in Europe, Madrid, Poland, Bucharest, Middle East as well. So culture or understanding of the local culture is quite important. We often talk about how to do the team bonding, and obviously that's been remote. You don't necessarily know them firsthand, but you start building up this relationship by, finding out about their language, their holidays, bank holidays, a bit of a family, start doing that, a bit of connections and a team bonding.
And how do you find that work across, borders, like across different countries, but also not being together?
It is something we all have to adjust post-COVID, and it wasn't probably the case prior to it. But we now learn the way. In order to achieve a common goal, we need to get ourselves grow as a team and as individuals as well, benefit each other's strength, and also cover every team's weaknesses, some individuals' weaknesses. In that case, we try to get a bit of cohesion by having a bit of talk offline, if you like. Team members often come here to London and I chat to them offline as well, and they're building those relationships, not necessarily just focus on the project. So we grow those relationships, and when it comes to the project, it gets going quite quickly.
What else do you notice helps to build that kind of team cohesion?
Again, that's something that benefited greatly from coming from Ukrainian background, finding the local or personal connections. Whether I learn or we learn each other's languages, a bit of a cuisine, how we spend our Easters slightly different to what we would do in Ukraine or here in UK. And any other local holidays or festivals that I need to know about. So coming to the meetings, I might just find out, or test my language, Spanish language, or my Polish, and it's proved to be quite interesting. They take the heat of agenda. We get a bit more relaxed. We kind of try to get the blended, and when it comes to project work agenda, that we a lot more cohesive.
Let's talk a little bit about leadership. On the project management, obviously you have to connect, but you have to lead and you have to achieve a goal and deadlines and certain. What is a good leader for you?
I think the good leader is the one who able to create a positive environment. fostering the relationship, ensure this environment enable your team members to grow, flourish, and be creative, adding value, benefiting each other, and as a collectively we grow and deliver on objectives. I often look around, and we have very strong leaders in our Candle office, not just London office, but UK and worldwide. I often look around how they manage to talk and work on different levels and get everything done on time and deliver the objectives. Very often people are able to change and adjust themselves and be flexible again in order to understand the objectives, understand the problems or issues that need to be resolved, but also able to adjust and work cohesively with your team members so they can get you as a team across the line. So that sort of belief that a team, and you are as example of the team, enabling your team to deliver on objectives together is what
a good leader looks like, and creating
good
that environment.
Like, yeah.
Well, touching on that, your experience working with leaders in Candle, what is the leadership style in Candle? How do you see people work together?
I actually find Candle aligns very well with my personal beliefs. Candle themselves try to create an environment where we all can flourish. We deliver on objectives collectively. By doing so, the environment that Candle are able to create for people working here benefit both business and the people working within the business.
Would you say it's more kind of open and flexible, more hierarchical maybe in some way? And if it's open and flexible, how are you able to achieve the objectives,
We're certainly open within London and UK. We are very flexible here. We try to innovate and we try to create, and that environment that we have here in London office and most of our UK offices have experienced, we're able to create that opportunity for people to be innovative, creative, and grow together. But the culture, certain offices I've contacted, they have slightly different alignment against perhaps some personalities are either new, they're trying to adjust. The culture difference between some offices worldwide or in Europe slightly different, and that's what I've experienced actually by working with them together.
Have you ever addressed leadership styles? Like, why do you drive things like this, or
We have this conversation during our reviews, personal reviews or project reviews, and sometimes when we have multi-disc different offices involved, I talk to partners and trying to pick up on their knowledge, how they would do it, what would be the way to do it, and learn from them. And quite often, because some people more experienced than myself, for example, dealing with certain offices, they will come back with a bit of feedback, say, oh, I have done this before, and that tend to work. I learn a lot by having these discussions.
It looks like you are working in a very multicultural environment and with many offices.
Yes,
in
indeed.
Candle.
Thanks. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If you think to a younger yourself, maybe moving to a new country, getting into the career ladder, what advice would you give to someone new starting their career in this today's world?
Well, I certainly believe that coming to this industry or generally starting your work career, you need to be adaptive, flexible, be able and eager to learn new things, whether it's a digital technology, AI, or anything else that comes your way. I think young people should certainly be open-minded and take those opportunities with both hands. And also at the same time be humble, be able to, look around, that people might have done this before, have experienced things you were trying to do, perhaps a different way, but it's something that you also need to embrace and try to kind of pick up an experience you have next to you available and embrace these new tools and opportunities coming nowadays.
What about a leader who is leading cross cultures? You mentioned that you notice like different approach sometimes to leading the team in different offices or in different countries. What advice would you give?
We certainly here at Candle have values, and that's a very good thing to have, because those values are universal and would apply across many offices and many places worldwide. So I think the leader must follow these values and explain and how the values would be adapted or be working in local regions and offices. Leaders now they should also be adjusted to where they are in place, in time, and also adjust to your team, be able to ground themselves, understand what the strengths and weaknesses of your team in order to bond them together and grow, deliver on objectives and as well as grow your team together.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Oleksandr. It was great to have you with us.
Yeah, you're most welcome.